What's up? Hey, what's good? What's poppin'? I am Msberry. Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you guys for sliding through and coming to kick it with me. As you guys can see from the title, this was on my list, y'all. I tend to write so many different things down that I forget. I don't even remember where some of the stuff that I got, where I got it from, you know, the things that I find. But when you guys, you know, recommend and give me things, I always know because I always write recommended or something, you know, and that's to it. But anyway, y'all, this is pretty interesting because, you know, if you guys are familiar with my channel, then you guys know that I've been on this whole political journey, on this whole expanding my mind with just different things that I really didn't know, things that just was not taught in school, you know, just past, present, and future, and all of the above. But so this particular video, I am not familiar with anyone in the video. I don't know who Rad Paul is. I don't know who Nancy is. Is it Pelosi? Pelosi? I don't know if I'm saying her name right, y'all, but I've done too much talking quite enough. So let's go ahead and get straight up into it. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get straight up into the video. As soon as I can find a mouse.
There was an essay written in 1867 that was published in Harper's Magazine. It was called Not Yours to Give. It's the story of Davy Crockett as a congressman in the late 1820s. Like most stories of that vintage, some will argue that the story is an accurate rendition, while others may say it is apocryphal. The moral of the story, however, is incontestable. Davy Crockett only served 2 terms in Congress, but on one day in Congress, he was confronted with a bill to give money to the widow of a military officer. Davy Crockett arose and gave this speech. Mr. Speaker, I have as much respect for the memory of the deceased and as much sympathy for the suffering of the living, if suffering there be as any man in the house. But we must not permit our respect for the dead or our sympathy for a part of the living to lead us into an act of injustice to the balance of the living. We have the right as individuals to give away as much of our own money as we please in charity, but as members of Congress, we have no right so to appropriate a dollar of the public money. Davy Crockett continued, I'm the poorest man on this floor. I cannot vote for this bill, but I will give a 1 week's pay. I will give my check for 1 week. And if every member of Congress were to do this, it will amount to more than this bill asked for. When Crockett finished, there was silence, and remarkably, the bill failed. When later asked for an explanation, Davy Crockett explained. He said, several years ago, I was standing one evening on the steps of the Capitol when we saw a large, great light over Georgetown. It was evidently a large fire. We jumped into a hack and drove over there as fast as we could. In spite of all that could be done, many houses were burned and many families were made homeless. And besides, some of them had lost all but the clothes they had on. The weather was very cold. And when I saw so many women and children suffering, I felt that something must be done. The next morning, a bill was introduced appropriating $20,000 for their relief. We put aside all other business and rushed it through as soon as it could be done. Later in the year, when Davy Crockett was back in Tennessee, he ran into a constituent by the name of Horatio Bunce. Crockett asked him for his vote, and Horatio Bunce responded thusly. He said, you'd better not waste your time on my vote. I shall not vote for you again. Your vote last winter shows that either you have not the capacity to understand the Constitution or that you're wanting in honesty and firmness to be guided by it. Because the Constitution, to be worth anything, must be held sacred and rigidly observed in all its provisions. The man who wields power and misinterprets the Constitution is more dangerous the more honest he is. Horatio Bunce continued. He says, no, Colonel, there's no mistake. The newspapers say that last winter you voted for this bill to give $20,000 to some who suffered from a fire in Georgetown. Is that true? Congressman Crockett answered him, well, my friend, I may as well own up. You've got me there. But certainly nobody would complain that a great and rich country like ours couldn't give $20,000, the insignificant sum of $20,000 to relieve its suffering women and children. Horatio Bunce replied,
Now, let me just pause it right there. It's just, as I've been on this journey, y'all, it's amazing to, just find out just how much money, goes to different things, different places. It's just amazes me, of how much money that goes to other countries, this and that. Like, it's just so much that's going on. And it's really hard to trust the government, but it's just like, we live in a world that, it has laws and rules and things like that. So we can't necessarily just really do what we want to do. But it's just, you don't know who to trust. Like, they say this and then it's that. It's just.
Congressman Crockett, he said, the power of collecting and dispersing money
I'm always,
at pleasure
hold on, can I press
is the
pause?
most dangerous.
Can you pause? Y'all, I'm having all these technical difficulties right now because my mic is kind of in the way of my keyboard, so I'm kind of just, I'm clicking my space bars to press play and pause, but apparently I'm clicking a whole bit, I said a whole bigger, a whole different command or whatever the case may be. So because I have my, software program. Anyway, y'all, all of that's besides the point. So, you're going to be looking at, y'all didn't see my old intro, this and that. I really need to take that out for her. So it won't be no issues like that where I accidentally click the button and then it goes to an old intro. I know y'all probably was like, what the hell is going on? But y'all, I apologize. I'm sorry. My fingers and stuff, like, it's just everything in the way. But besides the point, y'all, let's go ahead and get straight back into it. Ooh, I hit the mic. Ooh, clumsy, Msberry.
That can be entrusted to a man. While you are contributing to relieve one, you are drawing it from thousands who are even worse off than he.
That is true.
If you had the right to give anything, the amount was simply a matter of discretion with you. And you had as much right to give 20 million as to give 20,000. If you have the right to give to one, you have the right to give to all. And as the Constitution neither defines charity nor stipulates the amount, you are at liberty to give to any and everything which you may believe or profess to believe is a charity, and to any amount you may think proper. Mm-hmm. No, Colonel Crockett, Congress has no right to give charity. Individual members may give as much of their own money as they please, but they have no right to touch a dollar of the public money for that purpose. Mm-hmm. If twice as many houses had burned in this county in Tennessee as had in Georgetown, neither you nor any other members of Congress would have thought of appropriating a dollar for our relief. Bunce informed Crockett that if each congressman had shown their sympathy for the fire victims by giving 1 week's pay, it would have nearly covered the cost. But it was easier simply to give other people's money. Bunce continued, the people about Washington no doubt applauded you for relieving them from the necessity of giving by giving what was not yours to give. The people have delegated Congress by the Constitution the power to certain things. To do these, it is authorized to collect and pay monies, and for nothing else. Everything beyond this is usurpation and a violation of the Constitution. So you see, Colonel, you have violated the Constitution in what I consider a vital point. It is a precedent fraught with danger to the country, for when Congress begins to stretch its power beyond the limits of the Constitution, there is no limit to it and no security for the people. Today we are faced with a vastly greater sum of money than $20,000. We are faced with $40 billion to be gifted to Ukraine. A noble cause, no doubt. A cause for which I have great sympathy and support.
I mean, me talking about, all this money going to different countries, but, I know that, we get different things from different countries, different places, and stuff like that. So I can understand that. But this whole money breakdown, like, it was billions gifted and stuff like that. Like, I really, before I speak too much on that subject, I really need to just dive a little bit on the whole, money thing and all of that. I just really need to take a dive a little bit because I don't want to, bite off more than I could chew or say something that I really don't understand a whole lot about or know too much about. So I'm not going to pretend that I do. So yeah, I'm going to get back to that.
But a cause for which the Constitution does not sanction or approve of. Now, we could ask, as Davy Crockett did, if each member of the Senate would like to contribute individually to Ukraine. But of course, that would simply serve to demonstrate the enormity of the gift. To come up with $40 billion, each senator would need to give $400 million. Not a likely scenario. It's much easier to spend such exorbitant amounts if you're spending someone else's money. But even if the senators won't agree to contribute their own money, surely we're a rich country and can afford it. Well, not exactly. The U.S. debt now approaches $30 trillion. In the past 2 years alone, we have added nearly $6 trillion in new debt. Inflation roars throughout the land. Grocery bills are punishing the working class and poor, and gas prices exceed $5. Even before the pandemic bailouts, our country was running a $1 trillion annual deficit just to pay for its routine commitments. Putting aside the constitutionality of the $40 billion to Ukraine, isn't there a more fiscally responsible way this could be done? What about taking the $40 billion from elsewhere in the budget? The U.S. spends more on our military than the next 8 countries combined.
I've heard of that,
Couldn't
too.
Congress simply shift over the $40 billion and not add to the debt? In the defense of Ukraine, if the defense of Ukraine is really in our national security interest, shouldn't the gift come from our military budget? What about cutting wasteful spending? My office cataloged over $50 billion in waste. I don't know about you, but couldn't we cut programs like the $1 million study to see if taking selfies of yourself while smiling and then looking at these selfies later on, if that makes you feel good? Or couldn't we cut the budget of the National Science Foundation that spends billions of dollars studying such burning questions as, do Panamanian city frogs have a different mating call than the country frogs? Couldn't we maybe cut the $2 million the NIH spent studying cafeterias to see if someone in front of you sneezes on the food, whether you're more or less likely to eat that food? Couldn't we maybe cut the money spent on Japanese quail, studying whether or not they're more sexually promiscuous or not when you give them coke?
In the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information you've received from you?
No, absolutely not. Okay.
Oh, she lying.
And end of conversation. That's the Hot Topic Buzz this morning. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi dismissing any questions about whether she gives her husband inside information before he purchases stocks. He did it again. He purchased 20,000 shares of NVIDIA worth up to $5 million right before a planned congressional vote that would deliver billions of dollars in subsidies to the chip manufacturing industry, including NVIDIA. Twitter user Chris Dunn pointing out, rules for me, but not for thee.
Yeah. Oh, can I cancel? Oh, whew, y'all, I made it in time. Oh my God. Y'all, I'm sorry for yelling like that. But we're gonna end that video right there like that. But it's just crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Just her whole, you know, body language tell everything, honey. Like body language, tone of voice, facial expressions. I was gonna say expressions, but facial expressions, you know, different things like that. That just most definitely, you know, it just tells certain stories that, you know, your mouth don't necessarily tell, that your voice don't tell. And just her whole body language and the way she just went about all of that, you know what I'm saying? It screamed like, oh, I'm lying. Okay, that's enough. Like, oh, okay, so somebody then, you know, tick the little bird in there, Nancy. And it's crazy because Nancy is actually my mom's name. But that is definitely not my mother. But anyway, you know, it definitely made a lot of sense. But we gonna see, you know, people be making sense and saying this and saying that. And I just still feel like, you know, the government or certain people, you know, just, it still just kind of just get overlooked or just like, yeah, whatever, tossed to the side, get tucked under, flipped under, rolled under, whatever the case may be. But it's just, you know what I'm saying? You can't really tell somebody how to spend their money, but at the same time, you know, you work, clock in 9 to 5, you know, you have no control for real over your taxes. You can choose to go exempt for like, what, 3 months at the most before you have to take that off and have the taxes, because, you know, you don't want to be in trouble with the IRS either. It's just, it's so much. And it is definitely a lot going on in the world, and things are most definitely, you know, higher. Like, it's higher. Like, our economy is, that's a whole nother topic for another day, but y'all, it's so much to talk about. Let's get into it. Anyway, y'all, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this reaction video just as much as I enjoy reacting to it. I keep hitting this mic. I'm sorry, y'all. So y'all comment down below. Let's talk about it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Also, shoot me some recommendations. Y'all, the original video will also be linked in my description box down below, just in case you guys want to check it out on your own personal time. Also, guys, if you are not subscribed to my channel, don't leave without hitting that red subscribe button and ringing that bell, so when I drop a new video, you will know, you won't miss it, and you will be right here. And as always, y'all, I appreciate it, you coming through, kicking it with me, you know, helping me along this whatever journey I was gonna say political journey, but it's quite more than that. I'm gonna say expanding my mind journey. That's more likely what I say anyway. But anyway, y'all, I appreciate you guys, and until next time.